agenda.
I'll motion.
Aaron, Guari, anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. We need a motion to acknowledge the Zoom presentation for ISO electrical supply for Southeastern Ontario. We'll move.
I'll move, Chief.
I'll second that, Chief. Curtis and Chris Brandt. Did you find that information that is presented useful? We need a motion to I just added one item for clarification. Who is going to the June 18th ISC lobby meeting in Toronto from 9 till 2? So we will have now the minutes of May the 15th. That says it's local business, but it's regular. Oh, it's local. Okay. Local business then? So local business is normally in camera. Okay, I got it. So then I was present, Chris Brandt was present, Curtis Brandt was present, Ogwari was here, Aaron, Linda, and Chris Miracle were here. The regrets were from Sherry Miracle, CEO, and Angela Miracle, Senior Director for Operation. Shelley Bowden was present, recording secretary of the council, and Amnesty Miracle, my assistant, was here. At 9 p.m., the council addressed administrative issues, was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Aaron to approve the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation funding for housing internship for the housing internship for Indigenous youth in the amount of $20,500. Councillor Linda Lewin declared a conflict of interest. Her grandson is an intern. Motion was carried. Motion 6 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve the signing of the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Phase 8, Section 95 loan agreement renewal. The motion was carried. Motion 7 was moved by Aaron Ferrante and seconded by Chris Miracle that the council hereby approve Chief R. Donald Miracle to remove the Queen Anne's silver from the Bank of Montreal vault for the Mohawk landing May 19th, 2024. Motion was carried. Motion 8 was moved by Aaron Ferrante and seconded by Linda Lewin to adjourn the meeting at 9:08 p.m. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections? Barry?
I wasn't here.
You weren't there?
No.
Okay, we'll note that correction. Do you want to cite a reason?
In Myrtle Beach. He's on holiday.
On vacation, okay. All right. Any other corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, can we have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected?
I'll motion.
Aaron, is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Chris Brandt. Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. We have the minutes of May the 21st. I was present, Ogwari was present, Chris Brandt was present, Curtis was present, Aaron was present, Chris Miracle was present. Linda sent her regrets she was not feeling well. Staff members present were Sherry Miracle, CAO, Angela Miracle, Senior Director of Operations, Shelley Bowden, Executive Administrative Assistant, and Recording Secretary to Council was also present. Motion 1 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Ogwari to adopt the agenda. The motion was carried. Motion 2 was moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Aaron that the council minutes of May the 1st, 2024 be approved. The motion was carried. Motion 3 was moved by Ogwari and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve the following meetings outside the territory. The chief will be attending the Ontario First Nations Limited Partnership meeting on July the 4th in Toronto. The motion was carried. Motion 4 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the installing trail cameras throughout the territory where there's illegal dumping taking place. Motion was carried. Councillor Aaron Ferrante approves in principle but would like to know the cost of the cameras and how the lack of staffing is being addressed. We could probably have a follow-up on that when we deal with the business arising from the minutes. Motion 5 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Ogwari to authorize the use of the letter authored by MBQ and Township of Tyendinaga when an address associated with the dump waste is found. Additionally, as a pilot project, work with the Tyendinaga Township to close the road to vehicle traffic just past the entrance to the new TTO Language and Cultural Center to the east and Boundary Road in our ownership, convert it to a nature walking path and accompanying educational signage that discourages dumping. Motion was carried. Motion 6 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the letter for Paul Lewis confirming he is a hunter from our community who hunts for sustenance purposes. The motion was carried. Motion 7 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris Miracle to approve Anna Freiberg, Bay of Quinte Marketing Board, interview Brandon Arnold, Good Minds Indigenous Community Wellness Support Worker, the lead for the Tyendinaga Pride for the Bay of Quinte Board's Marketing Pride blog on events happening on the territory. The motion was carried. Motion 8 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve the signing of the letter of agreement with Hydro One Community Investment Grant in the amount of $25,000 for an interactive walking trail. The motion was carried. Motion 9 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the signing of the 5-year agreement with the Ministry of Attorney General in the amount of $158,748 per year to deliver the Indigenous Victim Services Program. The motion was carried. Motion 10 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Aaron to acknowledge the Bank of Montreal mortgage loan report. The motion was carried. Motion 11 was moved by Aaron Ferrante and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve to pay the Derek Wong invoice 855 in the amount of $16,100 for the Elders Care Facility and housing issues. The motion was carried. Motion 12 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Aaron Ferrante to approve to pay Hicks Morley invoices in the amount of $504 and in the amount of $1,962 for human resources issues. The motion was carried. Motion 13 was moved by Curtis and seconded by Aaron to approve to pay the JFK Law invoice in the amount of $3,163 for cannabis jurisdiction. The motion was carried. Motion 14 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the Miller-Thompson invoice in the amount of $520 regarding Forster's Island. The motion was carried. Motion 15 was moved by Aguari and seconded by Curtis to approve to pay the Allen Pratt invoice in the amount of $15,982 regarding the Culberson Tract land claim. The motion was carried. Motion 16 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Aguari to acknowledge the Indigenous Services Canada COVID Fund report. The motion was carried. Motion 17 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the 2024-2025 housing cash flow in the amount of $3,280,324 for mortgages and $600,000 for renovations. The motion was carried. Motion 18 was moved by Curtis Brandt and seconded by Aguari to approve the preliminary plans of the new recreation complex and proceed to the community open house. The motion was carried. Motion 19 was moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve to complete the repairs to the Bayshore Road Park Arbor this year and invite Trevor Brandt and the Powell Committee to a meeting to come up with a design for a new harbor. The motion was carried. Staff to prepare a comprehensive plan on replacing the arbor. Is an action item. Motion 20, moved by Aguari and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve all large residential construction contracts, $1 million plus, will include typical bonding sources, but include land or other assets to be utilized. This will include an alternative form of security, which includes an irrevocable line of credit or a certified check, both in the amount of 20% of the value of the contract. The motion was carried. Motion 21 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Aguari to approve the new lease template for all MBQ commercial leases and set the new commercial leases at $10 per square foot for those properties that include winter and summer operations, $750 per square foot for those that do not. The motion was carried. Motion 22 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Chris Brandt to approve the submission to Indigenous Services Canada for the 2024-2025 housing management subsidy. The motion was carried. Motion 23 was moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Chris Miracle to acknowledge the update on the Ferry Lane and Channel boat launches. The motion was carried. Council confirmed the following meetings: May the 22nd, local business; June the 10th, regular council; June the 19th, local business; June the 19th, regular council; June the 26th, local business. Motion 24 was moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris that this meeting go in private at 3:40 PM. Motion was carried. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections? Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections? Seeing
Not
none,
that I saw.
go ahead.
I said not that I saw.
Okay. Do we have an update on the cost for Erin's question? She approved the installing of the cameras, and principal would like to know the cost and how.
Megan sent off an email last week.
Yes, I sent an email that included the costs.
Oh, I didn't see that. I thought she said that she wanted to have a meeting. Okay, I'll go find that.
Can you look it up, Sherry, just to let people know?
Oh, $150 or something, right?
And then subscription, like I said,
Okay.
which would be sent out, like a telephone.
Okay, Sherry has the information to answer the
I'll send
question.
it around.
Don't we have to approve your minutes first and then go to business horizon?
Yeah, we should, well, I asked her if there were any errors. Can we approve these minutes, then we'll do a business, right?
I'll move.
Curtis? And Aaron? Anybody opposed to approving the minutes? Seeing none, the motion's carried. Sherry, do you want to just outline what
It
the
would be
cost
more-
is? Just go ahead and speak to it.
Oh, well, I just sent the email around, but these are the quotes and we've moved ahead to purchase the cameras. So there's about 10,
I
which
did
was
see that.
what the direction was.
Uh-huh.
And I think that, so you just wanted to know what the costs were.
Yes, at the time, and I
It's
did see that email, so.
The email sent on May the 30th, as per
But it was
discussion
in the
and
budget.
direction. I've investigated the cost of installing 10 new camera trails at common dumping sites identified. Please see the attached quotes to consider. As well, there will be a required annual subscription, roughly $130 per camera, that will need to be covered and renewed. I will work with Todd and Jen to find out an appropriate account, seeking your approval to move forward with purchasing everything necessary for the trail cameras for common dumping sites. Once cameras are received, time and resources will be needed to put cameras up, and I will note that I would appreciate some further direction on how the cameras will be expected to be processed using the improved dumping situation. So the cost was master lock python 6 foot by 3 foot inches, $369.90. Lock and black $36.99. So the total cost for 10 cameras looks like it's $3,954.66,
Plus the
plus the annual fee.
fee for the monitoring.
Plus there's straps or something like that.
Yeah. it's-
And the council said to improve it, so I guess it's around $4,000.
Yes, it was approved and we've ordered them.
That's it.
There's straps as well.
Now, I guess the question becomes, what is it that council wants to achieve with these cameras?
I suppose we'd have to meet with Megan, as she put in that email, that she needs some.
Well, it's
Direction
going to
on-
take some manpower to go around and check on these cameras daily, weekly. We're not sure yet. We have to put a plan in place. And then what are we trying to accomplish with the cameras? Is it just that to catch cars and plates, or?
Well, I guess catch people that are illegally dumping, I guess,
Is the biggest thing.
and hold them accountable for the cleanup. Because we can't just keep using banned resources to clean up for people who are bringing their garbage to the reserve and dumping it here.
So that would mean calling or contacting the person that might be caught
It would-
on camera.
It would be able, there is a illegal dumping bylaw. There's only one dump designated on the reserve that has been officially designated, and it's closed. It's closed and capped. So there is no dumping on reserve.
Yeah.
So then that would have to be reported to the police, and hopefully they would lay charges.
And who would be responsible for the cleanup.
And if they want to avoid the charges, then they can come and pay for the cost of cleanup. If not, we charge them.
Okay, so that's what's been accomplished so far. They have been ordered. Once they're in, then we'll have to work out a schedule and the manpower to be able to do this. So that's the next steps.
Okay. All right, so there is a direction and a motion to install them.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Erin?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, carry on. Meetings outside of the territory. So there is the AFN AJ, which will be in Montreal at Ganawagi on July the 9th to the 11th. Then there's the July 23rd to 25th meeting for the Chiefs of Ontario Annual General Assembly. The Health Coordination Unit will be meeting on the, I think it's Monday night in Six Nations. And so we just need approval for those two meetings. Who will move?
You'll be going to those,
I'll
Chief?
be going, Sandy.
I'll
Who else
move.
is going to go to the FNAGA? Any other councillors going? Okay, so the chief will attend.
I'll second that, Aaron's motion.
Was that a motion, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron and Chris?
Are we adding June 18th for whoever's going to Toronto?
What's that?
Are we adding June 18th for whoever's going to
Yeah,
Toronto?
yeah, I've got that on there for June 18th. So June 18th is the lobby day from 9 till noon, 9 till 2. And we're going to be lobbying for water and so the lawyers from OKT Law will also be attending that meeting because it's about the implementation of the settlement agreement. According to OKT Law, they're supposed to supply to pay for the costs of our water needs in the community. And so right now, there really is no clarification, I suppose, in terms of who's to implement that agreement. So I've invited OKT Law. Kevin Hill will probably attend the meeting as well as one of the other lawyers from OKT Law about that agreement. And you instructed to lobby for money for the Ferry Lane project. And of course, there's the whole $57 million DMAP project. We were not successful in our application with DMAP, and hopefully, whatever we scored well in terms of merit. We scored well in terms of the need for the project. But the problem is that there was it was severely oversubscribed. There was $6 billion available in that budget. And so Curtis and I were on the follow-up call with DMAP. And we don't know if there's going to be another infrastructure project next year or not, but we cannot wait. So we're going to have to use this here settlement agreement to pressure the government to fund our water needs. So that'll be probably one of the primary purposes to see what the response is. I've asked the regional director general to have the person in Ottawa that's administering that program to attend that meeting so they can inform us on where does the money come from to implement the existing water needs in the community under the class action settlement, which we are party to. The council also has to make a decision if you're going to be a party to the class action lawsuit post 2021, because there are still people that are on boil water advisories that do not have the ones that are on well water. On the west end, Lower Slash, Mowbray's Road.
Chief, where is the meeting being held?
At the Indigenous Services Canada office at 655 Bay Street, right next to the Chelsea Hotel. So
In Toronto?
Yeah, so stay at the Chelsea Hotel. You said got to walk around the corner. You're at Indian Affairs.
And are you making a note that Curtis, Oguari, and Linda?
Yeah, Curtis and Aguari and Linda need a motion to travel to that meeting.
I'll motion.
It's Chief Aguari,
Can it just be part of?
Linda, and Curtis, as well as Todd.
Todd's not available that day.
He's not.
No. That's what I heard him say, but maybe it's different. I don't know.
Well, when I've talked to him, we talked about the agenda, and he knows it's the 18th.
I'll ask him.
Okay. Because we can't go on and let these needs attended to. If we don't lobby, we're not going to get anything. As simple as that. It won't follow this guy on its own. Okay. Chris, you can't go to the lobby. We're going to talk about housing. So we'll put you down then. Okay. So it's moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris to approve that we attend these meetings. Is anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. And if we have droughts, then we have water insecurity because the wells dry up. We have the minutes of May 24th. They're not available? Private, okay. Okay. Any business arising from the minutes?
You already did.
Okay, none? Aren't you, yeah, Jack Merrick, or let's see, letter from,
It should be on number 4.
yeah, sorry. Okay, here it is, here.
I think you're on number 4 now? Your meeting dates?
Yeah, meeting July,
Yeah, just to give it an update this year.
TMC meetings for July and August.
This is all out of order. Meetings outside the territory.
You did that one?
You did that.
It should be meetings for July and
Yeah,
August.
pardon me, it's on the bottom there, sorry, my apologies. August 7th and 21st will be the regular council meeting, and August the 14th and 28th will be the,
Miss July.
oh, pardon,
Regular-
July the 10th, July the 10th, local businesses, pardon me. The regular meeting will be July the 3rd and 17th at 9:30 a.m. The local business will be July the 10th and 24th at 7 p.m. and August is August 7th and 21st, 9:30 a.m. for regular, and August 14th and 28th for local business. Motion to approve?
1 sec. 10, 24.
Approved.
Curtis?
Well, you got the.
Hold on. What about the lakes? What happens then?
Yeah, the AFN and the coup are the July 10th and the 24th.
Well, I guess one of you will have to chair the meeting then if you're going to be here. If there's,
Are you guys going to the AFN?
I'm not.
Is
I'm not
anybody
going.
else going to the AFN? So that's why he's saying.
there may not be anybody on July the 10th either for local business, so.
Sure, one of us can figure it out.
So we'll have to note that conflict then. There's, if the July the 10th, you want to move the council meeting July the 10th to, let's see what dates are available. July the 10th. You want to move it to July the 3rd then? The regular and local the same day? Does that work for everyone?
What did you say, Sean? Okay,
Let's do that one.
okay.
So tentatively, what we'll do then, we'll wait till we see when Shelley has the schedule to see if anybody's booked for that day in July. And if not, then we'll just have it the same day, July the 10th and the 3rd, for both regular and local. Does that work for everyone?
Sure.
Yes,
As long as I know
What will
a
be
week
the-
ahead of time,
Will
At
be
any
the-
time.
Okay, if need be. Okay, who will move, it's been moved by Curtis, who will second it?
I'll second.
Aaron? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? None, motion's carried.
So we're doing them after all the meetings?
Loyalist College Board of Directors.
Only if we need to.
Pardon?
Sorry, I'm stopping recording. You're good.
So Loyalist College Board of Governors, we need to appoint a representative, and Aaron, you volunteered to sit on this board?
Yeah, so
She?
actually I talked to
Yes.
them.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, no, they're asking for applicants.
Yeah.
Headhunters involved, you want to appoint.
Yeah. So when this came up, I was told that MBQ had a seat there and it was for whoever the counselor position was. But when I talked to this woman, it was very much like an application process and they would have a headhunter and that kind of thing. So to me, it didn't sound like what it originally was. And that's kind of up to council, I guess.
Normally, for the Hastings County Board of Education, it's an appointee, and it always has been.
This is
the
the
council.
Loyalist
This is
College Board of
college.
Directors.
Yeah, but we normally have appointed someone from the community that the council has confidence in.
Is Sandra Miracle not there?
Dustin, Dustin
We appointed
sat
Sam-
on that, I believe, Dustin, Kevin's son, he sat on that, wasn't he?
At one time.
No, well, maybe, but it was Josh for what, 2?
Josh was he was the former director. And normally they held office as long as, I guess, maybe there's a term of
I think
appointment,
it's
Yeah,
term
3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
But normally for First Nations, they do, the council appoints the person that they want to be on that board. It might be that way for the other directors, but I've not received any notice from Loyalist College that it's different.
I did. I spoke to them on Friday or Thursday, Friday, and
Because they shouldn't be deciding who's going to represent our community.
I told her
I think they're
the same
interviewing
thing.
people from the community and asking for names from the
Oh, to interview. Well, I would say we would put Erin name forward if she's willing. She's got the education portfolio. She's willing to. We will nominate Erin. Because she wants to.
Well, yeah, I don't mind sitting on it, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. And then it would also go into like a pretty well 2 more years past this term.
Well,
So it didn't,
it's
It's
whoever
bizarre.
It's whoever the appointee. It doesn't have to coincide with the term of council, but when it's up, they would send us another notice, and whatever the council is at that time, they would appoint somebody or nominate someone. So it's been moved by Chris Brandt to nominate Aaron Ferranti. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second G.
Curtis Brandt, Ogwari Brandt. So anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The hydro connection at 1230 Ridge Road. An MCR is needed to authorize the connection and sign the layout sheet. Is there a mover?
I'll move to you.
I'll second
Curtis?
G.
Curtis McGuire. Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Shelley, can you show me where we sign these documents, please?
oh, there's a team tag.
Because if there's municipal consent here,
I think before you just signed up in here. And they accepted it.
prove here. That's Hydro 1. Built on June the 10th. There's a hydro connection for 1991 York Road. The superintendent has reviewed, and it's recommended that council provide a council resolution authorizing the connection. Is there a mover?
I'll move that.
Chris Brandt. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Aaron? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. The harvesting request from Stephen Wayne Weingard, and he has a PAL that expires in 2029, I think it's all here.
Yes, it's just newly acquired, so it's a 5-year. All motion, chief.
Chris Brandt,
I'll second.
the Iroquois Caucus upcoming meeting, who's attending?
I would like to attend. I think should be good for both of them so far.
So
You might really like to attend the IC Harvest Assembly Summit. They're having a summit meeting in Oneida, specifically on harvesting. I think you'd have lots of input for that one. That would be really helpful. If you want or can.
So it's on the August the 28th and 29th in Oneida,
No,
and it's the General Assembly, Iroquois General Assembly and Strategic Planning Session will be on September the 25th to 27th in August.
and thanks for, the suggestion, but I get my hip on the 26th. So
Oh, good.
For me to go, I'll let you know.
Not happening.
I'll be,
Well, we'll go for another one.
I won't be doing much for it.
I think they had wanted to encourage community to attend that one as well. So maybe we'll get more information and they can put it out that way.
So Chris,
If
you're
I'm
the
not
harvesting,
mistaken.
you're the harvesting portfolio holder,
Yes,
so you're not going to
Maybe
attend
you
in
might do.
Oneida?
I can't, if I can do it by Zoom, if they can link me in.
You might be
I
able
would
to.
think- I would-
Possibly,
You should be able to do it by Zoom.
then, but I don't know how long I don't know anything about a new hip, so if I can sit in one spot for a meeting or.
Okay.
I don't know.
Or if you'll be
Well,
in a lot
if
of
it's by
pain.
Zoom, I
You might be able to do
can
that.
join as well, if Chris is tied up with anything, but for as long as he can. But just send us the Zoom link. I'd rather do it by Zoom than driving all that distance.
And,
You
did
won't-
you talk to,
I
Aaron,
have
did you
that
say something about maybe community?
Yeah.
I think they wanted to encourage community members to go, but maybe I'll double check with Amy as well. But I was
Yeah,
certain they
I heard
wanted
her,
to.
I heard her mention something about it, yeah.
If then, can we maybe put
Yeah.
a brief note out to the community and
Absolutely.
ask if anybody would like to attend this particular, and I'm thinking like just hunters like young Kevin Brand.
Yeah.
He might like to walk in just to
Observe.
observe and find out what's going on and stuff like
Well,
that.
Absolutely.
Josh.
Yep.
He would like to go up and,
Yeah, it would be nice to have them. I
The-
think there potentially could be some support for them to go as well, but
The-
I'll double
there-
check with Amy.
what I would like to see out of the Iroquois Caucus hunting harvesting group is what are the issues and what is their recommendation? Are they recommending with ministers? Do they want the Grand Chiefs to have a discussion about it? Do they want to brief the Grand Chiefs of what's happening with harvesting and hunting? Because right now it seems to be a one-off thing, and everybody, when somebody's charged, then is the caucus going to pay the legal expenses to fight it? To me, I think there's an issue there about enforcing our rights. The other thing I think needs to be done is the Haudenosaunee people have to assert a traditional territory. And right now, they're only the one group of people that are not. The Mississaugas are doing it, the other nations are doing, and they're forging ahead with their rights, and we're saying it's all ours, it's all ours, it's all ours. And to me, you have to, at some point in time, I think we've got to put a line on the map. They say this is our traditional territory, and we want our rights respected there. After the Royal Proclamation of 1763, it was not assigned to any one particular group. Any land west of the Allegheny Mountains were reserved as the Indians' hunting ground, which would include us.
I think they've been working on that with this harvesting group, and there's a bunch of stuff that they're putting into the policies and working on between the communities.
Because right now, it works on a permission basis, so when Mohawk hunters would have to ask the Algonquins if they can hunt in their traditional territory, the Iroquois Caucus doesn't recognize that is all their territory.
Well, I know they're working on revitalizing the one dish, one spoon agreement with all the different First Nations.
And the 1701 treaty calls for that instead of having the wars over it, that they would share the hunting grounds. All of the nations would share and there were 37 or 39 chiefs signed that agreement in 1701. It was called by the governor of Quebec to bring peace.
I'll go to that and the one in September as well.
So there's a lot of this overlap, and of course, right now, so this getting permission from the community then is the beginning of recognizing that they have exclusive rights and that we need permission to be in their territory, and that's not what history bears out. So there needs to be some serious discussions on how we resolve this with those other chiefs. So I think at some point in time, the caucus should be updating the Grand Chiefs as well. Were the Grand Chiefs at the meeting in the last AGA?
No,
Which ones? Of Coup?
no,
The
the one in Montreal,
Iroquois
no,
Caucus.
No.
No.
In Montreal, they weren't there.
just a Blackfoot.
So Gus wasn't there, the chief, or Chief
Yeah,
Abram?
Gus in the hallway was there.
Was he?
What about Chief Abram Benedict?
No, he wasn't there.
No.
And I couldn't go, and Chief Victor Bonaspiel
Yep, he
Yep.
was there.
Yeah, Victor's always there.
and Chief Sherry Lynn Hill,
No, she wasn't there.
Chief Todd Cornelius, Oneida,
No,
No.
no, he wasn't.
and then Wattis pulled out, so. Okay,
That'd be interesting going to chief for both. Me also. Good luck.
so who's going to go to these meetings then? I guess if we can do it by Zoom for the August meeting, we'll attend. See if you can make arrangements for Chris and I to join by Zoom.
Okay, you can do it.
The strategic planning meeting, who's going to, so this, Oneida will be chief and Chris Brandt via Zoom. And what about the meeting and the planning session in the IC General Assembly and planning session in
Akwesasne.
Akwesasne?
Yep, I'll go to that one as well.
AJ will attend. I will attend.
And when is that again?
The 25th and 27th of September.
I can go, Chief.
Ogwari will go.
Yes,
Me
Yeah,
too. Me too, Chief.
Curtis will go.
And the one Oneida.
And Linda, are you going?
yes.
Chris, are you going to go? Chris, no. Chris Brandt, are you going to go?
No.
Okay, so then people that confirmed is myself, Aaron, Aguari, Curtis, and Linda for the meeting, and then Chris and I will join by Zoom for the Oneida call. Motion to approve?
Well, was there people going in person to the Oneida one too?
I'm going in person.
Yeah, I'll go in person too.
You're
I'm
gonna-
going in person.
In person.
Out for,
Okay,
no driving for 6 or 9 weeks or something like that. 3 months, they say.
okay. So who'll make this motion to approve these people attend these meetings? Chris-
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. The Economic Development Corporation Open House.
Chris.
You don't want the sparkle pack?
So I'll read the memo because might have people online. Community engagement and updating the community on MBQ's investments and businesses have been a key request of Chief and Council. The Economic Development Corporation, along with the Economic Development Department, is proposing to hold a community development economic development open house where Chief and Council and projects will be present to give a brief presentation on each of the projects, investments, and businesses, and have a small exhibition where community members is invited to learn more about each project and ask additional questions to the project. We have the recommended projects and opportunities to be present to the community are the Ernestown Wind Project, 40% partnership with Potentia Renewables, Inc., Loyola Solar Project, 50% with partner Blue Earth Renewables, Inc., Briar Fox Golf Club, MBQ is 100% owner, Quinny Energy Storage Project, MBQ is a partner with HydroStar Incorporated. I don't know if that's right or not. We've authorized a study to be done with funding from NRCan, but we have not partnered with them yet. So this memo is not quite correct. On-reserve grocery store concept and MBQ employment agency concept. We'd like to set a date for the Economic Development Open House to communicate and educate our community members on the projects and investments that have been made on their behalf. Location and details. We are proposing that the open house be held at the community center during the hours of 4 to 8 p.m. in the evening. This would allow for community members to attend sessions after work. We would propose we have community feast dinner for all attendees. Our brief 30-minute presentation would commence at 6:30 p.m. with the rest of the time to eat and approach each of the project booths for individual discussions. Ernestown Wind Project. Ernestown Wind Project Park is a 10 megawatt wind power project located in Loyalist Township, Ontario, built by Horizon Legacy Group. The project began supplying electricity to the grid in 2014. 5 Enercon E82 turbines produce enough power for 2,000 homes annually. 3 turbines are located on farmland. 2 are located on a quarry, and a great example of multiple purpose land use. Over 50 companies and organizations were involved in building the project. 97% construction labor, totaling 55,000 hours, was performed by Ontario workers. The project won 2 awards, including the Switch Rural Initiatives Award and the Sustainable Energy Association Sustainable Energy Project of the Year, and many have climbed the 100-meter turbine to raise money for charity including firefighters, teachers, environmentalists, and a documentary filmmaker. MBQ is 40% owner of this project, and with Potentia Renewables Inc. owning 50% and an independent investor owning 10%. The Loyalist Solar Facility is a 54 megawatt ground-mounted solar PV generating facility located in Stone Mills, Ontario, built by Blue Earth Renewables and partnered with MBQ. The project began supplying electricity to the grid in 2019. This project produces enough power to supply 12,000 homes annually. The Briar Fox Golf Club is an 18-hole golf course that is located on Old Highway 2, Marysville, Ontario, on the northeastern border of the MBQ Reserve. The business was purchased by MBQ in 2020 and has been operating under MBQ control ever since. Quinte Energy Storage Centre. The Quinte Energy Storage Centre provides an excellent opportunity for Ontario to secure long-duration energy storage capacity at a prime location with an Eastern Ontario electricity grid at competitive rates. The Quinte ESC future net zero requirements. Best of all, this innovative technology was developed in Ontario and is now being exported to markets across the globe. The Quinte ESC project is being organized in partnership with the Mohawk traditional rights holders in the region. Project details. Technology advanced compressed air system. Size 500 megawatts, 4,000 megawatts for 8 hours, enough power to power 500,000 homes. Location Greater Napanee, adjacent to the Lennox Addington Generation Station. ACAS is proven technology and established supply chain while delivering emission-free electricity. MBQ will be partners in this project. Well, that's not definite yet. Grocery store concept. There are no full-service grocery stores within 20 radius of MBQ. MBQ must travel to Napanee or Bell to access full-service grocery. While there are some local shops selling limited grocery items, families in the community are unable to purchase all their daily household necessities in a convenient local store. MBQ Development is exploring the opportunity to open a full-service grocery store on MBQ. This store will have the potential to service not only MBQ, but all the surrounding communities of Desrona, Shannonville, Marysville, as well as, in addition, the grocery store can support the community by supplying goods to the new MBQ long-term care facility, school lunch programs, the Briar Fox Club, and other food supply needs of MBQ businesses and administration facilities. We've put together a community questionnaire that we would like to solicit to the community for guidance on what services and goods community would be like to see at an on-reserve full grocery store. This open house would serve as a good forum to introduce this to the community and get community feedback via these surveys that attendees can complete while attending the open house. The employment agency concept. There are many opportunities for local contract work, local construction projects, road work, and others are always looking for local workers. MBQ community members are always ready to work on these projects. Many of these projects are located off reserve, and companies that are employing them are also non-Indigenous as well. This means that community members working on these projects do not benefit from their income tax exempt status as Canadian Indigenous persons. All this can change. Under a non-reserve MBQ-owned employment agency, these community members will be able to work on these projects off reserve and still be able to benefit from their income tax exempt status. The agency can accept the contract with the outside employer to supply them with skilled workers. The workers, however, work for their employment agency, which is an on-reserve entity. By doing this, their income will be earned on reserve through a corporation that is owned by MBQ. This would maintain their income tax exempt status. In addition, this employment agency can look for contracts not only in the local area, but throughout Canada as well. So they're asking for us to set a date for an open house to discuss these issues. Any ideas?
Is this one particular day, or do they want to have it as?
I think you
like
probably.
On a Friday night and maybe for a couple nights?
I think they proposed having it on one day, but it was like a 4 or 5 hour block. So they would give them lunch. Is this one?
Dinner.
Dinner.
It's an evening.
Yeah,
that's being
dinner, and
proposed.
then for anybody who wanted to come to the dinner, and then there would be hours after if people wanted to just drop in, they can go and visit whatever booth they're interested in and learn about everything as they go.
like an open house.
Yeah, longer
And they're
opportunity.
looking for a date is whenever, as soon as possible, or?
Not as soon as possible because they do want an opportunity to set it up. So
To organize it.
maybe August.
So why don't we get
September?
some dates for them to propose to us when they're ready?
Yes.
I'm fine with that too.
Okay, so
If they can give us like mid-August or whatever, then, and then we can,
is August a good time? Like is,
No,
August is
well,
pretty open for me, not for
not
Chris.
for me after the 26th.
So
I don't
Friday.
think Friday nights are a good night to have it. People are usually busy with other things.
They're already gone on places for camping and gone away.
Linda?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, with that list of stuff that we want to present to the community, shouldn't we also be on that list about any land that we might want to purchase, future land purchases?
We could put that on there.
we wanted to focus on the ECDev work because we're getting ready to, move forward with the commission. So we wanted to do kind of a community consultation around the projects that could fall under ECDev corporation, commission. So I think the land purchases, I think could be a separate meeting if you wanted to host something kind of more internal to MBQ, because this ECDev commission is going to be operating quite separately from administration. So I leave it up to you guys.
That would,
I just say that we need the opportunity to talk to the community about any future land purchases so that we are transparent on what we're doing.
that's a good point. I think, a part of the ECDev, it is in discussion of the marina purchase. If that goes ahead, well, that would fall under
Yeah.
ECDev.
Or if you're going to buy land to put a store on it, that would be part of
For putting
it.
out- yeah,
If they're
for putting
proposing
store,
that,
Motel, whatever.
or if you're going to build an apartment building, let's say maybe on the waterfront in the Culverson land to attract, high renters to make money for the reserve, that would be an ECDev project.
Actually, that would then be, you would have to look at those as selling them as condos or something like that.
Or
So-
just renting them.
Well, then that wouldn't fall under ECDev. Economic development is around money-making ventures.
Well, I'm not talking about social housing. I'm talking about like some of those apartments that they have like in Belleville where seniors
High-end
retire.
And running it as a business then.
Because really, if this area is going to prosper, you need people that are going to spend money. If your store is going to be successful, you don't need like people that are on marginalized incomes
I still say.
because they're limited to what they can buy. Like so, anything that's for economic development has to be different than the social housing.
Yeah,
program.
and that's what the commission is going to be set up for. They're going to be made up of business-minded people who are experts in that area to lead these things.
So if some of it's going to be to make money for the reserve, then that's a different kind of housing project than social affordable housing for the members.
Yeah, and that could be something that the commission could be
Okay,
looking
Chris.
at. For sure.
Part of the ECDev, and I stated when I was running for council, and part of a money-making thing or something to bring people in on tourism, which I've said it over and over and over again, and that they're going to come into this area because of the walleye. So first of all, a marina was under my thought, a motel, because of so many outsiders come into this area just to go fishing. A motel being put up would be a very, very good, and that would fall also under this ECDev, like for land purchases along the water to make a motel, and set up a very, like a nice restaurant that, people could just show up for any 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, or dinners, and have a peaceful view of the Bay of Quinte, just, that's, I think those things could be presented as possibilities to the community.
Chris?
Oh, just what Linda raised a good issue, and you spoke to it also, that land purchases for the most part are going to be act dev based. I think the community is going to have something to say about us buying all kinds of land, jumping real quick. Deserano, I'm talking like some of these
That's-
purchases, that's a lot of money being spent, community money,
Private.
and we should have the act dev board getting in place sooner than later, and that should coincide with any kind of open houses that get professionals in place.
Okay.
So I agree with what Linda's saying. It should be part of that discussion, land purchases.
Because I think it's up to the community to tell us what they'd like us to do with this land if we're buying up land. And do they want us to buy it? Because in our campaign, we did say we would be more transparent, so that's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, the only thing, Linda, when land is for sale, they will not wait for the community and
Yes, but I know
an encumbered process to make up their mind, then you lose the opportunity.
But if we can present that to the people and say to them, when these things come up, at least they're in the know.
And so that, because when somebody else buys it, they may not want to sell it, or they'll charge you an arm and a leg for it when they get it. So when it's for sale, if you're interested in that land, you have to buy it when it's for sale, and it can't wait 20 years for some kind of federal thing to kick in to enable you to buy it.
Well, but we can inform it, I think like what Lydia is saying is that we can kind of inform the community if on like that, what our intentions are, if land comes up and we have to react fast, then we will do so on, with the community's best interest in mind. So, and going back to the point of buying this land on such a short notice, well, I guess it's a community's money, but it was the interest that was made from the community's money that will buy.
Well, the other thing is we're
particular land.
asking the
So-
federal government to reimburse us the purchase price too, because that's
Exactly.
how Culberson was dealt with.
So it would, that particular money could come back to the people and not, the people not be out of pocket then.
So it was a temporary arrangement so that but we're asking the federal government to buy it because securing that land back is part of a federal responsibility under our claims process.
Yeah.
Chris?
So on this, I have a question. If you rush out there and spend $1.5 million, buy some land, and an appraiser comes along and says it's only worth $750, are you certain that the feds are going to reimburse us a 1.5?
I think
when
this
the
is
appraiser says it's only worth
a conversation that we should be having in private because none of this is done deals yet.
I'm talking hypothetically. Hypothetically, if you
Well,
went
I
out and
can
spent $1
tell you,
million,
I can tell you what happened. We've done that before with the government, when Turton Pen was brought back under the ban control. They didn't just pay market value. They paid a premium price in
Oh, I
addition
know,
to.
Chief. I was
And
there
so
for that.
the federal
I know,
government did that
I know,
in
but
that case.
right here, right now,
in
moving
the-
forward,
And in the Dyes property,
do we have any kind of guarantees that if you went out and spent a couple of $1 million to buy a parcel of land without environmental assessments, without appraisals, are you 100% sure we're going to get reimbursed?
there was a precedent set for that with Culberson. He was paid more than what that land was worth.
But that's not my question. Are we just?
Appraisals are part of the agreement that still have to be met.
So I'd like to have an answer to my question.
I don't think anybody can give you an answer to your question. You're asking a question that we are physically not capable of. You can ask me the same question. Am I going to wake up tomorrow morning, or am I going to die in my sleep? We won't know that until tomorrow morning.
No, but our
so
lawyers and smart people should have some.
they cannot see into the future, though.
Oh. Okay, well,
It all
what if
depends on
somebody
how-
wanted
it all
$10 million
depends-
for a lot? We pay 10 million and then go
It all
back to the
depends on
feds
how
and
good
say,
your
"We want 10
negotiator is."
million?" Like just some of this stuff doesn't survive the smell test.
But what it comes down to is, would you rather take a chance and also approaching everything that we're taking into account of gaining the money back from the feds for having this land, or would you rather lose that land to
Non-native development.
another developer?
Forever.
No, but my biggest fear is that speculators are out there way ahead of us and they're buying up land saying, okay, those guys are going to buy from us real quick. And they're going to make huge windfalls. And I'd be surprised if the federal government would just sign a blank check for any lot that's bought, knowing that people are quickly buying up these lands, trying to flip them, sell them back to us. And the feds are going to say, wait a second, you think it's going to be a blank check? No matter what you bought, we're going to reimburse you. You got to show some due diligence, environmental assessments, appraisers.
And by that time,
By that-
by that time, there'll be a subdivision, and then you're out of luck.
I still think, yeah, exactly. I still think
Well,
that
you can't. That's not true,
we-
Chris. Chief, that's not true because they just declined the people that sold the guy, the same developer that was trying to get the subdivisions built. They're just saying, no, you can't do that. It's all under land claim.
They didn't say that.
They didn't tell them
never
that.
went to
No,
that.
they didn't say that.
What did the tribunal say?
Because right now, there's what our lawyer told us is there's two competing interests in land. There's the fee simple interest competing with the treaty title.
What I thought Sean Brandt was trying to get us to move forward on that whole. Sean Brandt didn't ask us to come to court. Yeah, he came to a
went off?
community meeting and said,
Oh, we're
"You
still
and
live.
Chief, you guys should be at that tribunal meeting, representing us." And I
When was
understand that the
Before
tribunal.
us?
No.
He didn't, he told us that Hastings County was doing something with the land we found it. It was not at Hastings County. They had opposed
No, I've
the
said
development
that
on
already
that land
twice.
because there was an unsettled claim. The town of Desrona opposed it, and so the developer was taking it to override the county decision and see that he could get authority to go ahead with it, because he had a fee simple deed.
No.
So anyway, the issue now is a date for this corporation.
It could be wrong.
So we'll need a motion then.
Okay.
We've digressed. We need a motion to ask the staff to suggest some dates when they're ready to have this meeting. Is there a mover to request that?
I'll move that, Chief.
Chris Grant?
Well, second, Chief.
And what do we come up with it?
No, we're gonna ask them to come up with the dates,
Whoever. When they'll be ready.
when they're gonna be ready, yeah. When they're gonna be ready, or when they should be ready.
To making a decision on the date?
They
for
did.
the- Oh, okay, good, thank you.
Well, they didn't provide a date. They'll do it when we're ready to proceed.
Can we select a date
Well, we don't
in
want
late, like a time frame in late August or early September that we can
Well,
work within?
I guess what we can do is ask them what they're saying, when the staff are all gonna be here and available, that when they're not on vacation or working from home, or when their staff that need to be there are gonna be there. And then,
So we'll present a date then to council after we've set it all up. All right,
Which will probably be in August then, right?
pardon?
Probably be in August then, right?
We do need, we would like to move forward with this. It's,
How soon can they be ready?
well, I mean, this is June, so I'm thinking August would be a suitable time frame to get everything pulled together. We'd like to do it because we're moving forward with the ECDEP Commission, so we want to have this open house to the community to make them, to let them know the projects that are being looked at. So I'm thinking they could probably have something pulled together for August.
okay, so the dates, and I guess who the presenters are going to be, and an agenda, stuff like that?
It's not going to be, it's going to be an open house forum for people to come
Okay.
and there'll be booths set
Yes.
up for each of the areas
Okay.
that we're already involved with. And then, yeah, information sharing.
Yeah, the other thing is I'd like the revenues that we get from these projects posted too. I don't want rumors. Because if it was designed to make money for the reserve, then what's the profit coming back? How much money has it made, and what's that money being used for?
Well, right now we're trying to get this commission set up, and we will need some startup money. So we're
Already a motion saying that the money that we get from the wind and solar already is going to the ECDEV commission for that very reason.
Okay, Chris?
Have we put out a call yet for commission members?
that's in the works. It's all in the works. We're looking to hire executive director first step.
Shouldn't the commission be part of that?
The commission, the will be part of kind of pulling together a board.
He's asking.
But
if
shouldn't the board be in place if that's gonna be their employee, as opposed to putting an employee in place and then putting the board?
Yeah, those are, yeah, they're the details that we're trying to work out, but it's all in the works currently.
And the people will want to know is what is the criteria for being a board member? What
Yeah,
skill do you have to have?
That'll be all part of it.
But the community will ask that question. Is this just for community members to be on the board, or?
Well, this is just to present, this open house is just to present the businesses that we are already involved in and ideas that we're thinking of moving forward with.
She said 1:45, and it's 10:02 now.
Okay, so anyway, let's, okay, so we will need some dates from staff when they're ready. Then we'll
Okay.
put it on the agenda
So,
for next council day.
We can get them in as soon as they are ready to come in.
okay,
Okay, so while we're waiting for the food to come, is it here, Chris?
She's just gone out to see.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next item, a retainer for MFS for a child welfare lawyer. Motion, they should have a lawyer. And they want to have an agreement with Tammy Law. The hourly rates are there. That have been sent out in the package. It's been sent. So does council agree to sign a retainer agreement with this Tammy Law?
yeah, I believe there was some urgency and I had to approve ahead just to, so that they could get this in place within a time frame that they were working within. So,
We're just acknowledging that it's already
yes,
done.
please, yeah.
Okay, I'll motion.
What is it?
Second.
Okay. What is it really? What's it about?
They have a lawyer that they'll have access to at any time that they need it in regards
Child
to
welfare
child
cases.
welfare.
Yeah,
Donors court and stuff like that, and they have representation.
that needs legal
Advice,
advice.
guidance, whatever.
Yeah.
Representation,
Yeah, easier.
So Sherry, you signed this back in April?
I did sign it. I
Okay.
just need a motion that's acknowledged.
Acknowledged.
Okay.
There was some urgency to getting it in place.
So is this the lawyer that will work on all their child welfare cases?
Yes,
Or the law firm.
it's the firm.
And they're in where, Belleville?
Toronto.
Oh, Toronto, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Where's this law firm, Sherry? Did you catch it?
Toronto.
151 Bloor Street West.
There's no lawyers closer by that you wouldn't have to pay so much money to travel and all that kind of stuff, because they're gonna bill that.
I think it said in the freaking note.
To include matters of negotiating settlements, preparing and attending case conferences, disclosure from the society.
Or are they doing most of the court stuff by Zoom these days?
They do a lot of that through these platforms.
Okay, the next issue is the education committee devolution. So Tracy has sent Tracy Brandt, the education director, sent a backgrounder paper. In the early days of the Tyendinaga Education Advisory Committee, the committee provided the advisory and the approval of some policies and procedures for the group. They fielded questions and concerns from the community, and it was basically for the Quinte Mohawk School. As education in Tyendinaga expanded and more programs became available, it became more complicated to find a purpose for the committee. Over the years, the committee has struggled to get participation from anyone other than the chair and those parents or people who were looking for a place to complain. The terms of reference refer to several things, all exclusively duties and roles that belong to the Director of Education, Culture and Language. When the Education Director was redirected to redo the terms of reference for the Tyendinaga Education Advisory, we spent some time on it, and we're not able to find a purpose for the committee in the scope of today's Education Directorate. Policies and procedures are now governed by a policy analyst and researched and put through TMC. Complaints and problems are also governed by a chain of command that starts with the program and gets evaluated to the director or CEO or senior director of operations to resolve. Our current structure, a portfolio holder, director and manager, supervisors in all areas take care of the engagement and the administration of the education programs. Recommendations: decommission the Tyendinaga Education Advisory Committee, replace the committee with individual parental involvement committees in all program sectors. Each program manager, supervisor with portfolio holder develops their own terms of reference for their groups. Portfolio holder to chair committees for each section and work with parents, committee manager, supervisor, and education director. So the recommendation, just a minute, Chris, well, we would like to dissolve the education committee and replace it with the parental involvement committee, and more in line with the structure that is in the neighboring school boards. Each department would have their own parental involvement committee for parental involvement, along with director, manager, and portfolio holder. Chris?
I'm just curious, we had an education committee in place for decades and decades, and all of a sudden it went sideways. Like, where did everybody go? How come council doesn't know or not involved in the fact that they weren't meeting anymore?
I kind of like the idea of parents have more involvement in it anyways.
So I think it just evolved. They had a hard time finding people who were willing to sit on it. Once they did have people on it, it wasn't, there was no clear direction as to what their scope is. But now that we have an education director, the scope that was originally put in place for that committee now falls under that director.
So the
committee
folks
would be evolving.
So the folks who are on the education committee would think they are they aware of this? Or they just say, when we're going to have a meeting? And all of a sudden, oh, the newsletter, oh, I've been dissolved.
The
They
minute,
haven't had any meetings.
the minute, the
They
minute,
haven't had any meetings in
So who are the committee members?
since
the
COVID.
minute,
I was on it at one point.
the minute,
Tracy would be
since
on
it's a
it.
committee of,
Still on it?
No, there isn't any. There is nothing. There's no active. It's not
did you resign?
active.
Yeah,
No.
it's not operating as a committee at this point.
I'm trying
okay,
to find
so-
out what happened.
okay, so what happens, to answer Chris's question, all committees of council are appointed by a motion of council. So, so until there, it changes, if people resign from the committee, it would be in their minutes. The minutes should come to council, and then council should appoint or advertise for a new member. That's what administration should do. Then once somebody is advertised for a committee, to replace that committee member, it should come to council for approval and motion to appoint that committee member. When was the last, Shelley, we appointed the education committee members? So it's never changed.
So who's on it as we speak?
I don't know. I know
Does
Josh.
anybody
Nobody
know?
actively.
Does
Josh was
anybody
the
know?
chair of it. Councillor Josh was the chair of the committee.
I don't think so. I think the chair was the education director, but then once the last one passed away, it's not been taken up since then, and that was how many years ago now?
This is what's happened with all these committees of council. There's a lot of gusto when it first starts, then it peters out, and then people are not coming to committee meetings, and then it just goes defunct. The library committee is one that does, they bring their minutes to council for information sharing, but these other committees, I have not seen any minutes in eons.
Well, there hasn't been minutes because there hasn't been any
And the
meetings.
council used to set the terms of reference for the committees because these were committees of council.
The recommendation going forward too is to have a parent involvement committee, because QMS found a lot of the time that they would attend the TEAC meeting and it would be a lot of people coming to vent about inadequacies or things that they were having struggles with, or just complain, I guess, about things that they felt were happening at the school. But because there is no parental involvement, or very little parental involvement, a lot of the things are not accurate.
Is it
So instead of it being like a really functional space that could be helped to, do better, it wasn't. It was a very negative space. It was mainly for complaints that Quinny Mohawk would be fielded for. And then aside from that, then there was no relevant direction. So the recommendation now is to have parent involvement committees for each of the locations, where parents can be involved. They can be in the school. They can be active for fundraising, because there is such a disparity between the budgets and the needs of the schools. And it would be that opportunity to have this parent involvement as well. And then each of these sections, which would be the last that I did sit on the TAC, the only people that were active were the heads of each of these positions anyway. So heads of like post-secondary, ESS, Quinny Mohawk School, daycare, and they have a monthly meeting as an education directorate now anyway. So this would be more for the community side of it.
So in 2010, the council that time reorganized the band house into directorships. Then we had a director of education, a director of housing, a director of infrastructure, a director of community wellness, a director of community services. And so a lot of those committee roles were absorbed by those directors.
Which I think is what happened in this scenario.
So I think
as well.
that's likely what happened here, Chris. But anyway, the committee was never disbanded and it's not functioning.
Yeah.
So the recommendation is to dissolve, but the committee was really a place for parents to, if they had concerns about their child's education and they weren't satisfied, they could go and talk to the committee. And usually the principal would attend the committee meetings, or if there was a teacher involved, or if there were special needs that needed to be lobbied for, then that was going to go to the committee. The committee would be, Doug would usually bring those things forward to council. Lobby sessions would be set up to deal with the needs to make sure they were being addressed.
Well, now that the same thing will happen, but it will be a little bit more relevant for each committee. So when I sat on this committee, it wasn't relevant
now
to
those
sit on there
things
as
are
a
all
parent.
dealt with
Sorry, I'm
as-
talking. So it wasn't relevant to sit in that and listen to all the things that were happening at Ohahaze or at ESS, because it wasn't relevant to the needs of the kids that I have. I'm using me as an example. At Quinny Mohawk School, I'd like to see, specifically for our kids at Quinny Mohawk School. So the parent involvement committee will still see that.
Yeah.
So you can sit directly where you want to have your involvement.
So it's a little more integrated, a little more focused on the needs that the parents are demonstrating that they want out of this process,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it's an effort to have more parent involvement. I think that generally there is that thought of like, oh, this school sucks for whatever reason. But if we have the parents involved and you can see the operations and you can see the load that the school has and the limited support, especially when we have kids that do need extra resources, they'll be able to see these gaps and be able to fill them potentially.
Who would be, like, then who would be the chair for, like, I mean, if you got a bunch of parents all in a room, well, then everybody's gonna be thinking of, they're gonna be thinking of my children, and not necessarily thinking about children
In general, no, there needs to be,
So you gotta, because all parents are gonna think about
there will be clear expectations and roles set out that'll be developed with the principals and the director of education. So each section will have their clear guiding principles of what the parent involvement committee, what their roles will be and what they can do in that position. And then it will be volunteer. So volunteer.
I've always liked, whether it's a school or whether it's the golf board or whether it's whatever, I like to see more of the community involved in a say, rather than just, okay, chief and council, they did all. I would rather see, and I think it's a good idea that we have parents sit on a community
Absolutely.
for their children. And even if you have parents that are, let's say, retired teachers that would like to sit on because they have an idea of what they still would like to see, although they're retired. I think that'd be a good idea too.
Absolutely. Or grandparents or aunties or uncles or anybody who has that availability to sit in that role, and there will be clear requirements as well. Obviously, there's certain things you need to be able to go into school, but
Yeah.
that's all stuff that will be developed, and then it can be brought forward to.
So what are we looking at this thing?
Well, I guess there's
Just
a
the-
recommendation here from the education director to dissolve the Tyendinaga Education Committee and replace it with a parental involvement committee. Committees.
I'd make the motion as it's recommended.
Yep, I'll second it.
I'll third it.
Is there anyone opposed?
I'll say again, I would like to have heard from the current members. There could be people out there that, hey, I've been on this committee for 15 years and all of a sudden I'm just waiting for the next meeting to be called, but no one's responding to me. Like, this was in place for decades and decades. And I guess I'm gonna be totally honest. A couple years ago, they put a Parks and Recreation Committee in place. And I said, okay, on recreation, with education, if you want to get involved in my program, you get involved. But I'm a portfolio holder. Any meetings, I'm involved. Yeah, as education portfolio, you turn around, you invite the community members and staff, call recreation committee meetings, and didn't even tell the portfolio holder. And now I find out it's the same person who oversaw the education portfolio, and all those people, oh, bright new shiny object. Now it's a recreation committee. They all run over there and let this thing go sideways. At the same time, stab me in the back as a portfolio holder. That's why I'm a little bit, my nippers on a knot, say, wow, this whole thing is in place for decades. Now it's all gone sideways. Got dysfunction in recreation, dysfunction over there. We don't even know there's people waiting to be called for the meeting.
Okay,
I could see that point, but I could also see that I'm not thinking about me, just because I'm a portfolio holder. If somebody in my, like, I'm sure, I sit on the harvesting, but you know, if Chip wants to sit in on where I would welcome the help, because it has to be a team and not me. It's my portfolio. What are you doing? It has to be us working together for the better of.
okay.
So you say teamwork, but then you turn around and say it's okay, you don't invite the portfolio holder for your meeting? You hold a meeting, that's okay?
Actually,
That's
the
a teamwork?
portfolio holder used to be the chair of the committee, like Doug was the chair of the education committee for a long time.
Then I don't know.
Then they had different chairs.
I don't know who did what before January this year. So, like, I mean, and I spent a lot of years away from the community with my job, as you know. But so we can only. I don't know who sits on, or if the board actually should. Erin could maybe, because she sat on it and hasn't done anything for, Shelley said, like so many years.
More than two.
So there's a motion moved and seconded, and Chris would like more to hear from the current community if we can find out who they are.
Can
because
we find out?
Josh Hill would know because he chaired the meeting, but he did tell council a number of times that oftentimes they didn't have quorum.
And you know who I'm thinking of too, like in asking old Mr. Claus.
Well, he
I don't
wouldn't know
if
who,
he's too
he wouldn't know,
old to-
he wouldn't know who the current members are.
So you want to know who the committee members are?
He might
Is that
know
what
because
you're
his-
saying?
Yeah, Josh Hill can probably tell you who the last round were. Because he did bring reports.
Really?
Usually they didn't have a meeting because they didn't have quorum.
I don't think it was ever discussed in 2 years I was there, chief, never brought up.
There were things that came up and he would say it usually was connected to the daycare about, you know, the hours during COVID and all that kind of stuff, the busing and stuff like that, those kinds of things they were dealing with.
So we're going to go ahead and support this request, but you want to know who the community members are.
And Chris thinks they
I
should be
just think it's a
consulted.
courtesy to those people, if they're out there, it would have been respectful to reach out to them to let them know this is what's happening.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure why we were identifying the
Well,
community members.
normally we pay honorarium to committees, so I guess did the education committee get an honorarium the last time around?
Nope.
They haven't brought minutes forward. You need minutes in order to.
Yeah, exactly.
approve the honorarium.
Exactly. So we have, as I said earlier, I've not seen any minutes from that committee in eons,
Two things, and let's find out who sat on the old board,
which would tell me they haven't
and
met.
just for out of respect for them that sat on the old board, and let them know what's going on, if we can find out who's on the old board.
I'm sure they can still be invited to the next
Absolutely.
parent teacher like committees, right, Aaron?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be posted and open for people who are interested to,
Maybe Shelley can look at the minutes to find out, not for next meeting, when was the last time we had education minutes at council? Is the lunch here yet, Shelley? Okay. Do you want to follow up, Chris, with the cook?
What is it? Well, his answer, his message, I told him.
Well, it can't be at Indian time, we're all hungry.
Pull on it. Chief. You just hung up on me. No.
The Hicks Morley invoice, motion to pay the Hicks Morley invoice of $3,443, and it relates to employment legal matters. Who will move?
I'll move, Chief.
Curtis, who will second it?
I'll second.
Is anyone opposed?
Chief, I'm not opposed to paying Hicks Marley. I'm just going to abstain from the vote just because they're representing somebody that's in a civil suit against me or with me that I'm against. Yeah. They're representing a corporation and a human rights issue that I filed.
I'll just put you declared a conflict of interest. Okay, anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. New maintenance position. New general maintenance position. Requesting to add a new general maintenance position under the Housing and Band Property Department that would be dedicated to completing minor repairs and routine maintenance issues for MBQ residential units. The recommendation is to approve and hire a new general maintenance worker that would be dedicated to the routine repairs and maintenance for MBQ residential and rental portfolios. Is there a motion to approve?
Oh, I'm lost. Where are we? Oh, 14?
Yes. Number 14. Chris, while you wrote the council motion to pay the Hicks Morley bill,
Yes, I was just.
we're on number 14.
I think as long as they have budget to do so, then I support it. I think is this the one that it would come out of different?
This was supported, Cecil's provided her initials and review for that, for the budget.
If a band member is hired to do this job, apply for the supports from ALMTC, the targeted wage subsidy. They pay 75% of the salary for,
You mean to look into that?
yeah. So is there a motion to approve as long as there's a budget available?
Yep, I'll motion.
I'll second that, Chief.
And finance has recommended, so if there wasn't budget,
There is a budget.
it wouldn't get it.
It was a very small amount.
Okay, so it's moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. There's a recommendation to hire a new seasonal property maintenance worker.
Two
hire
new,
two
New
new
chief.
seasonal property maintenance workers that would be dedicated to the sports complex. Is there a motion to approve this request? It's been signed off by Tom Crean, Kelly Miracle, the finance director, Cecil, and Sherry Miracle. And there's budget available, Sherry?
yes.
I'll motion. Well, if they are needed elsewhere, would they be able to be pulled elsewhere?
Well, what we're finding, because we're going to have the splash pad going
Yeah.
there, there's going to be a lot of activity in that area, and I'm already kind of getting a feel that there's also some people there that maybe shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So they would be kind of overseeing that area
Nice.
throughout the summer. So they would be, maintenance positions. If something happens with the splash pad or other, need in other areas, they would be overseeing that complete area throughout the summer.
Okay.
Good idea.
And they're staggered,
Yeah,
Is
I'll
there-
They'd
motion.
be staggered,
because one will work Saturday.
Yeah.
to have coverage.
Is there a second, is there a second for Aaron's motion?
I'll second it, Chief.
Curtis?
Mr. Quick.
Sorry,
anyone
Linda.
Opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Sorry, what's that?
Oh, just seeing the team currently does 74 locations.
Yeah.
I know they're busy.
Oh, they're very, very busy. They're spread pretty thin. But these two will be specific to the sports complex area.
That's good.
We're getting more and more services there, more and more families and people attending there. So there needs to be more visibility and oversight.
Awesome.
So anyway, the Ohaze parking lot reconstruction, there were 6 people that submitted a bid. We received bids from Ainley Group, First Nations Engineering Services, Gur Galloway Group, Jewel Engineering, Q&E Engineering, and RPM Indigenous Group. And so the low bid was Ainley for $32,799.60. And the project budget it can be paid for within the budget. Is there a motion to approve this, to award it to Ainley, the lowest bidder?
I'll approve that.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Aaron to approve. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed?
Chief, did anybody ask the roads crew if we had the expertise in-house, just to say it's simply extending a parking lot?
Sherry, can you answer that
Sorry,
question?
what was,
Or
I
Angela?
didn't hear that.
Was there any in-house expertise such as our roads foreman asked? If it's simply, are we just making a parking lot bigger? And if so, could our roads foreman not give some basic information to 3 or 4 paving companies? And then the $30,000-$40,000 goes towards the paving and not to consultants? Because sometimes it's as simple as we're going to move that fence over there, but we hire an engineer to move a fence or to extend a parking lot. Is it that simple?
I'm just gonna take a look at the briefing note here.
I would think that they would have their own schedule to be maintaining over summer.
So is it just a matter of mulching? Right now, there is no paving, right?
I mean, I can ask Tom, but I'm fairly certain the roads, our people would have taken a look at this to have an idea of what would be required. And then obviously, like the paving companies would oversee that work would know what would need
Okay,
to
well,
take
anyway,
place.
I always get Ohaze and Hope mixed up. Ohaze's at the Old Orange Hall.
They both
They're
are.
both together now.
They're both at the Orange Hall?
Yes.
All right,
There is this request for proposals
Okay, well,
from, in a
let's take a
detailed
look.
design stage from our
Okay, so what what there is a gravel parking lot there.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, is it big enough and was it constructed with proper drainage and
No,
all that sort of thing, or is there proper bedding there? Because a lot of the Orange Lodge was built on a lot of volunteer work by the Orange Lodge when it was in existence. So I don't know if this,
They
did they
said
just
there's
run
already
gravel there and
concerns.
put gravel down, or what happened? It's just,
There's already concerns regarding poor and inadequate drainage. So
okay.
it would
That's,
be
it
addressed.
was prepared by Tom anyway, this, and pending funding approval. So,
Because there were times when the water from the parking lot used to run into the building on that door on the west end. I remember seeing water on the floor there.
Yeah, and
And so
in,
it needed drainage, so I don't know. This is all,
in the RFP, under the scope of work, it lays it all out as part of the contract to review the existing site and become familiar with the current issues and conditions, to provide a topographical survey. All digital data will be shared with MBQ, provide a geotechnical investigation, and complete a stormwater management study.
and number 5 is really important there, the next one.
Yeah, to complete a set of construction plans necessary to secure contractor pricing, including but not limited to site grading, drainage, and stormwater management, utilities, and cross sections.
So they do that.
So that's all part of the RFP process.
and I guess, is the plan, Sherry, do you know, and where the community center, where it's gravel, are they gonna pave that? Where the parking lot, where the cars park?
Yes, it's going to become a paved,
Yeah.
And is that part of this, or is that a different
that's
project?
part of this. Pardon?
Okay, that's part of this?
Yes.
Okay.
What you're talking about something different, aren't you?
Well, I guess, because really the parking lot at where the old Orange Lodge is it big enough for this purposes that the school, or do they need to use the other parking lot out where the old fire hall used to be?
Oh,
If so, does that include paving along the York Road? Where it's gravel now?
I thought
Wouldn't that be a part of the York Road reconstruction?
I don't know.
It
I
Is it?
think
It is.
it is, yeah.
They just haven't got to it.
They haven't got to, okay, I just didn't know.
It's just the parking area.
Okay, just the parking lot,
Yes.
okay. Well, you've got an estimate to design it with good drainage and all these other issues that have been identified, hopefully.
It's a parking lot reconstruction. And yes, detailed design stage.
Does that answer your question, Chris?
I'm going to vote negative, Chief. My experience with these is that proven that the consultants were not needed. I'm not saying it's not needed here, but my experience to date is that we've been using consultants when they were not needed. And I sat here and I said, we're going to, mark my words, it's going to be a cut and paste. And mark my words, it was a cut and paste. We spent tens of thousands of dollars for cut and paste. Like a paver, might have said, do this, and this, get 3 or 4 pavers. But
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Well, I guess if the staff don't have this expertise, then they have to look somewhere for it. I don't know what else they can do there, because they are not engineers.
And I just finished saying, Chief, I don't believe we always need an engineer to stamp everything.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's moved and seconded. Chris is voting negative. Is anybody else voting negative? So seeing none, the motion is carried. So is there a contract to sign, Sherry? You got the codes, or there will be a contract?
Contract will be done up now that they know.
Okay, thank you.
And Sherry can sign because it was approved by council.
Yeah, I'll just be the one signing.
The summer work experience program,
Chief, do you want to break for lunch now?
is it here?
Yes.
Okay, we'll break for lunch. We'll break a half an hour for lunch. Linda?
I'm here.
And we're live. Are we live now? Okay. And welcome back to all of our people who join us online. Council did have a half-hour recess for lunch. And I'd like to thank Chris Brandt for catching the pickerel for our pickerel lunch, and for Kevin and Kathy for cooking it and bringing it to us. Thank you very much from all of us, Chris and Kevin and Kathy. The item number is number 17, the ISC Summer Work Experience Program. So Human Resources and Good Minds collaborated on funding applications for the Camp Leaders for Youth. This was approved. Placing approval on letter on TMC for acknowledgement and approval. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Aaron, who will second?
I second.
Linda?
Oh, you're much faster that time.
Yeah, it was.
I just got that leaned in.
Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. Item number 18, the OHASI positions request. They're adding 2 positions to the OHASI org chart. A cook to be added to the instructor because there isn't enough time for students to leave in a day because of our truncated day. It is easier to ensure good nutrition and increased learning for the day having the meals set for them. Our instructional costs along with our mental health AIA money allows this. Number 2, we require an adult education coordinator at the OHASI Education Center. We now have an adult education funding, and our new past funding will cover this. We also have a surplus in our instructional funding to cover this cost. We are trying to create a more work to earn option for adults and young people who are struggling with receiving their Ontario Secondary School diploma. This position will work with ALFTC as well as ensure credits are earned successfully. The recommendation is to add a part-time cook to the OHASI organization chart up to 30 hours per week, 44 hours per week. Add an adult education coordinator to the OHASI organization chart for full-time 40 hours to working all year round. Recommend moving our long-time EA Tanya Barty to the adult education coordinator position and backfilling the EA position. Tanya has been working with adults for over 16 years. Now she currently does the intake and works closely with principals to ensure applications, maturity credits, and courses are covered for adults. She does regular communication with them now, as well as coaches and mentors. I would like to make this a formal position. Motion to approve.
What's HR and your position on outside the policy hiring?
Outside of policy hiring
I think that's what it said, that it was outside of the policy.
previously, but we've
Now
taken a
it's-
look, we've actually looked at her proposal for these positions in detail, and we support.
Then I support too. I'll motion.
I'll second that.
Aaron and Chris Brandt.
Question?
Go ahead, Chris.
Approximately how many students are enrolled? Like on a given day, how many kids are there?
Would you know that, Angela?
No. Are you talking the Omahazi one or the Hope one or all together?
Whoever they're cooking for, how many they're cooking for?
It's combined now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Are combined.
just offhand, I'm just curious.
not offhand, I,
They told us before.
Okay, give Callie a call. Get
It
him a
might be
call
in
now.
her.
No, not to give them a call, just
I'll
next
just
time.
get you right there.
she's
I'll
just right there.
No, and just let me know later. I don't.
So anyway, just put that as an action item then, how many students are enrolled in the OHASI program? Okay, anybody opposed to the motion approving the request? It's been moved by Aaron and seconded by Chris Brandt. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Quinny Mohawk School, education assistance and QMS and Jordan's principal funding. Funding has not changed in several years for Quinny Mohawk School. Since COVID, there's been an increase in the number children starting school with various behavioral and diagnoses that require extra supports in the school. With some surplus funding from COVID, the school was able to provide the number of EAs to support the children and run the school safely. This year, they've been told they will need to go through Jordan's principal for the funding. This poses many issues for funding and families, not including the wait times and hiring problems. ISC is directing our community that as a federal school to another federal pot of funds, thereby creating more barriers to service in our community, specifically for children with special needs. Furthermore, the principal of the school has been told by the superintendent of federal schools they are not eligible to apply for Jordan's principal funds. We asked council to lobby for additional funding from ISC to cover the costs to run the school safely. We recommend hiring the educational support workers through the MBQ, continuing to press for federal government to cover the costs. We are requesting to run a deliberate deficit in Quinte Mohawk School and have a backup plan of education, CWC, and open LP funds to cover the costs until TMC can take care of the entire deficit or ISC Jordan's principal funding comes in. This is time sensitive since we are hoping to have staffing for this new school year. Quinte Mohawk requires 12 educational support workers. CWC is prepared to put in a Jordan's principal application on schools we have as a backup if TMC is not successful in getting the money from ISC. So we've been asked to conduct a lobby effort, and I think we need to have a meeting with the Jordan's principal staff at ISC to find out why it's not covered under ISC. I do know that they have a backlog of applications in Jordan's principal, and they really do not have enough staff to process the application caseload. That's one of the problems why there's not timely responses. What was Travis, and I guess if ISC is not going to fund it, I would like to see a letter from Travis Henderson, the Director of Education, explaining why they're not going to fund it. I mean, these are the educational needs of the children at the school, and those needs should be met under Jordan's principle. If they've been assessed professionally, and there's a professional recommendation to do that, or is it just the principal? Who's deciding what the educational plan is, and are there other experts involved in this? I don't know.
The kids would have a diagnosis, so new ones coming in. I think there are several already identified that have like autism spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the D is. Just
So if we're going to carry
disorder.
out a lobby, we're going to need that information about, you know, what is the situation there.
Sorry, Aaron, do you have like what's happening there now? You're just explaining that a little bit. right?
Yeah, so the kids that need the one-to-one are kids that would have a diagnosis, and it would be coming in with a diagnosis. So because they don't have any funding to hire, they've been directed to Jordan's principal.
Yeah.
But with Jordan's principal, there's some issues because how they give out the funding enables some people to just choose whoever they want to be their one-to-one, which doesn't necessarily work out in the benefit of the child. So they're going to be directing everybody to CWC to do a mass application for these 12 that are identified
Positions.
for a one-to-one.
Okay, so
And then it will be easier to cover with
what I would
correct
need
hiring and WSIB and all that kind of
for a
stuff.
lobby, what I would need is a chart, not naming the names of the child, the age of the child, and who did the diagnosis, and what is the professional recommendation in terms of education, and what is the cost of that service. And the other thing I need to verify, are all of these children who are special needs, are they all band members or some non-band members? Because Jordan's principle
non-band
only applies to status Indians.
They'll apply as long as they're residing on the territory.
Will they?
Is what I've been led to believe, yeah. So
'Cause
even
I-
if they're not status, but they're here and attending our school,
Yeah.
they'll get that service as well.
Because I have raised this question before, is Jordan's principle just for status Indians? I said, because the MRP law allows those students to live with their parents on the reserve and attend, and the department allows them to attend our school. And they said it was for status Indians, but I will put that on, we'll ask that question again. Because I've heard different answers.
Well, there's also completely non-status people that attend the school, like no affiliation or relation because they are renting on the territory and they'll access as well.
Yeah, so we need to deal with this non-status issue in the application of Jordan's principle. As a matter of fact, I think I asked that question at AIAI recently about that.
Also, QMS doesn't get any money for any child that
But,
attends
but,
that
but
is
I mean, if the
non-status.
children are going to be educated there, then they should, if they need special services, the child's education should be taken care of. And maybe the province has to kick some money in. Because right now, there was no discussion with the federal government and the provincial government that I'm aware of that would deal with the cost of special services for non-status. I know
Off
they're
territory.
trying to rectify the gender inequality issues through legislation with the cutoff children with the, for example, an enfranchised grandmother her grandchildren can't have status, but one who married out can. It's all these kinds of crazy decisions have been made by the federal government that just perpetuates the inequality and harm that's been done to Aboriginal women and their descendants.
Well, I'll move to approve this based on the recommendations.
Moved by O'Barry to approve.
I'll second.
To approve that. So basically, she's looking in the meantime, while lobbying efforts are occurring, that they have the support to hire the 12 people that are required through OFNL.
Okay, so we need the same thing to go through the budget process. This is for the new year, right?
Yes.
For September?
For September.
So we need Cecil to identify where the money will come from.
They said open up.
OFNLP.
It
Well,
says
there
there's
again, can we
some
spend that
CWC as
on,
well.
on members?
It would only be for members.
But-
Our open LP money is only for status members, I thought.
That's what I thought too. So I guess then we need to find out how many of these children are non-status, and funding might be an issue. And if the department's going to pick up the bill, that's fine, but we need that in writing. If they're going to go there be allowed to attend there under the MIRP law, then the federal government or the province should pick up that bill.
They don't provide any funding whatsoever for children that are non-status that attend the school.
Yeah. But they allow them to be on the nominal roll, so that creates a liability for the department, in my view.
So are you thinking to defer this then?
Maybe so we can get that portion of it to have the budget.
To see if OFNLP, and then we'd have, that puts us in a very difficult position when we're providing services for children to say, oh, I can give you this service, but I cannot give you this service.
Well, we still have to have somebody take responsibility. It can't always be the band, especially if they're not members.
It's hard.
And
like
there's
a
some
hard
questions that we need
situation
clarity.
because they're allowed to attend the school. Was there ever a time when non-status were not to attend the school, or that you had to have
Well, like with
status?
me right now, I've got 2 kids that have status, 2 kids that don't have status, but all 4 of them are entitled to status.
But they're all able to get status,
Yeah.
right?
So the question that we need clarity on is open LP money, can it be used
don't
for
know
any
what the rules
children
are.
who are not status?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we need something in writing that
Yeah.
Jordan's principal will fund non-status.
Angela does not believe OFNLP will
I'm pretty
cover.
sure it's in my
I don't think so.
application, anything that we have
Makes
is only
sense.
for paying members.
And they're living
That's true.
here on reserve.
That's
Okay,
true.
well-
We just went through this.
Okay, I
did.
don't know the
Went through all
details of
this
all
with
that,
you.
so please clarify that, and I'd like to see something in writing.
But
Depends on
it's
what
the
they get their
application,
assessments.
Jordan's principal
that
group
takes time, trust me.
application.
Wow.
They don't know if they are
No, yeah, you would know.
going to be supported for it. So, okay, we'll defer this.
Well, we're going to be on the 18th of June. Let's see, we can't put that on the agenda then.
Okay.
And maybe they can let us know how many children have status and how many don't, and what are their, and the diagnosis, and who's the professional that diagnosed that child, and what are their needs? What's the cost to support that child? And is there endorsement from the principal of the school that that education plan is what's needed? To make sure we have our ducks in a row
It's
here.
not too fast.
Hopefully we can listen.
He wants information put together for when we go to ISC on the 18th.
Oh, on
So,
the
so
18th.
that there should be an educational plan, there should be a cost, and it should be signed off by whoever's responsible overseeing the school.
I don't know if they'll get an
Just
IEP before they go into the school. I think once they start in September, then they'll get kind of assessed and then they get an
Oh,
IEP.
okay, so then are we asking then for a notional budget then, when we lobby?
No,
Are we
no,
asking-
for the EA though, they'll know that they need an EA because in the physician's assessment, they'll make a recommendation to have an EA. Maybe they'll make a recommendation for an IEP too. I'm not 100% sure on that.
What my understanding is, we already had these positions that were funded under the COVID money.
Oh.
And
Well,
now that,
because-
no, now that money is no longer there, so now we have to source out
Okay,
other.
well, with COVID, the department allowed a tremendous amount of latitude for the community to respond to the needs that were in the community. Now that's no longer the case.
Now we
so
have to try to.
Now we're under formula
To
funding.
keep them.
Yeah. For the same resource that we had.
So then I guess then we need to cost that out. I can't ask for money if
That's
I don't
fair.
know how much I need it for, what I'm going to use it for. And I have to also justify that the need is there. That's usually,
For
about-
the June 18th meeting.
if that information is there, we'll put it on the agenda. Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. What, do you want to defer this just for the clarity?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's been moved by Aaron Okwari and seconded by Aaron. Are you still willing to do that with that motion to defer for clarity?
Yep.
On this person when it can be used for? The next item is the, let's see if we heard. Carry along. The Derek Wong invoice from Aboriginal Business Network for $15,651.16 for the long-term care agreement and various economic development ventures. Motion to approve.
A motion.
I'll second that, Chief.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a breakdown of what each of these items are. and
It's in
feature.
the private.
Don't read it out.
People can read lips.
Subtitles.
Because so I think it was listed there, then we don't, think it would help some of these coding guys, because I don't want to see that all rolled up in long-term care because it doesn't
It's
relate to.
not, it's
Okay.
not down.
Okay.
It's on the invoice, which is in your private folder.
Mhm. The Miller Thompson invoice of $6,500 for corporate matters.
All motion.
Moved by Aaron
I'll second, Chief.
Curtis. Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The JFK law invoices. And this is broken down: housing, $496.50, long-term care, $2,782, housing, $2,550, housing, $4,280. Motion to approve.
All motion.
I'll second.
The band member has been waiting for quite a few years for a decision from council on this, the sale of price of industrial lots. The council did approve, if I recall correctly, to cancel the leasing option and to revert back to just selling lots. Is that correct?
Yes. Chief, like to put a motion on the floor?
Well, just let me introduce it first.
What was the previous motion that was rescinded?
Release them and also.
Okay.
Just to keep the land in the band's name rather than complain about not having enough band land. And then we turn around and sell out band land, so.
When did that get rescinded? We did it?
I don't, I
It
can't recall
rescinded.
doing it, but, I might.
There was a motion to cancel that. That's what I recall.
Do you recall that?
It was right after Tom Miracle came to council.
He didn't come to council on
He didn't
this.
come to council.
I'm sure it was this council that agreed to rescind that.
I never, you know. I can't recall that. I can't recall it. Do you
Be-
recall,
Because,
Lori?
because,
I don't
because
recall.
if it's
Linda,
still
do
is
you
the
recall-
leasing policy.
Do you
then-
recall rescinding that, the motion to lease and sell the lots?
Chief, I believe it was the last council.
No.
It was the last
I
council.
don't remember doing it in this one.
No.
There was a motion to cancel because otherwise you can't lease it, you gotta lease it or sell it. And Thomas' request has been here to buy it. And then there was direction given to Lisa then to say, okay, if it's gonna be a selling you're gonna sell the lots, that's why she brought this forward. So you directed her then to tell you what to sell the lots for, and she's made a recommendation to accommodate the decision of council. If you weren't going to do that, then the only option that would be available for Tom is to lease it, and he doesn't want to do that. It can't be both. It's one or the other.
Chief, want to table a motion?
Well, just wait till we see, we can look it up, but I'm sure that there was a motion of council to
Not
cancel.
with us,
Not this council.
not this council.
I think Shelley's.
Shelley's
searching it.
looking.
I still don't like the idea, you know what, I mean, as a discussion.
So,
My apologies, it was November 1st, the old council, and it was approved to rescind the motion number 12, due to April 9th, 2018, to not sell lots in the industrial park, and all lots will be long-term leases. Staff prepare a briefing of the main council for review on the price and sale agreement. Measures are in place to ensure the land is being used for the original purpose, and determine the value of the property.
so they canceled the leasing option?
Correct.
That's what I remembered it correctly. So then Lisa, they were asked to give you a price on what, okay, that they're not leasing anymore, then what are you gonna sell the lots for? We would discuss that at council.
You didn't like the $10,000.
And then they were supposed to get an appraisal done on what are these lots worth. And some of the people applied under the policy when it was $10,000 an acre. And so I guess the recommendation is here in front of you.
And it's not just Tom, I think there's other people that have been interested.
Scissors me.
I tried buying a lot.
So if they have an application in prior to the policy change, was it November the 1st? If they applied before November 1st, then the policy that they applied under was the old one. It was $10,000 an acre.
Now, would this sale be in the absence of any infrastructure going in, like water? Like there's no water in there yet, right now.
The water goes by, all there is a road and hydro.
Oh, I think in here Todd said that there was a branch put in there, maybe?
No, not yet.
There's a
Not yet?
stub.
Oh, no,
Stuff?
it's still important tanks.
Yeah,
It's stub.
Yeah, it's all holding tanks in there for now.
gotcha.
So I guess there's a recommendation here.
I'd like to hear what Chris is,
Go ahead, Chris. He wants to make a motion, he said.
I put a motion on the floor to sell them at 25,000 per acre, offer them to the folks who are on the list, first right of refusal, but 25,000 an acre, because we all know land prices have gone through the roof. And the whole thing about leasing, selling, we flip-flop so many times in the last 10 years on this, Chris, I see past councils that, yeah, it's just gone back and forth. I said, I want to see all this documentation.
Okay, the
I wanna see
recommendation was
leases,
20.
this and that. So the recommend, no, I'm thinking a motion of 25,000 per acre.
and those lots are 2 to 2.5 acres per lot. For any business, if it is a business going in there, I think that's very fair, especially to business people. But I'd like to see the businesses be used by the business people themselves, rather than buying these lots and putting up a business for somebody, a non-native, to move in there to make tax-free money off of. We gotta stop that. It's becoming, wildfire here on the territory where you got so many non-native owners bringing their businesses here, saying that they're partnering up with the business, with other people off from here, but they're not. They're only renting the building, and that's what they call a partnership.
Okay, well, that's something that economic development's gonna have to write some policy on. But I do know the council did make exceptions with Foresport because they employed a number of band members, and they were, you know, they considered the number of band members that had a job there.
Who was that? I'm sorry?
Foresport. At the airport,
I used to
Foresport.
work there myself. I sold shoes, I sold,
For sport.
clothing, purses, dresses.
At the airport, the brands, that they're, so that building, Foresport operated there, but because he employed a number of band members, the band approved it. So if the band member's operating a business and it's employing a lot of members, there has to be accountability, and he was able to do that, so the council did approve.
The two fishing stores that belong to non-native, which are Pro Advantage, have zero people, community members working for them. And High Falls Outfitters, which is down in Oasis, it belongs to Ben Harvey and Valvo, have zero. They bring their own people in to work in
So then,
those stores.
so when there's a non-native applying for a business, because I think our policy was that you had to be a band member to apply for a business registration permit, but the exception was granted for Foresport simply because he could account that there was a lot of band members working there. And so maybe our application process has to tighten up to, so that information comes forward to council.
That's only if they get the band registration fee, right?
Shelley?
So the only one, he did apply. He applied for the business registration, whatever that is.
Yeah, I know all about that. His leasing, just leasing the property to Ben
The
Harvey.
business is registered under his name,
Yeah, exactly. But
so
I'd like to see wow. How can you, the only way you can improve that is if the bank it doesn't go to Matt Weldon, or does it go to Ben Harvey?
But that's not really our.
I know you can't, it's not. And that's the ways that there are getting around it. So Matt gets to rent the building and says, okay,
Okay.
it's my business.
Okay, it's important, Chris, but I think we need to put this on a policy item with economic development, to have that discussion with them, and we need to review that. So we could schedule that on our next council with economic development. The issue before council now is what to sell the lots for in the industrial park. And there's a motion on the floor to sell them $25,000 per acre.
Yeah.
There's also, the recommendation is to consider forward thinking as well. So if we sell all of them in there, is there nothing that we've considered that we might want to develop the land for, to have
We've
the more
also
economic
got another
development?
industrial park on the go too, right?
What's that?
We also got another industrial park that's in the plans too.
Yeah, there's different phases.
second phase.
We've only developed one phase of it.
Anyway,
So,
getting back to his motion, it says that you haven't reached out to those people, but like he said, call them and see. Then we'll work from that. Because it says you haven't reached out to them, but able to confirm the selling price. So if he made a motion of 25,000, I think that's fair for a business person.
okay, if that's what, all they want to know is what the price is and can they buy it?
Business that's gonna stay open for a lot of years and make all that money.
It's less than I paid for an acre of land.
What's that?
It's less than I paid for an acre of land for a business.
That's a lot less than, I mean, people are selling houses or property. That one property that we talked about was like $200,000 for 2 acres.
I'll second Chris's motion.
Like,
I think 25 is fair.
definitely.
30 is
what's the-
probably
what's
not
the
a
motion
reason
then?
either. 30 is probably not a reason either. So, but I'm just saying,
You still need to reach out to
I'm
these
second
people.
Chris's motion of 25,000 acre and reach out to people that's already on the list.
And these are, this is only.
So is the
for
motion at
current
25
phase.
standing?
Yeah.
Only for the
Okay.
current phase at this.
Yeah,
So is there a second for Chris's motion then for 25,000? Ogwari? I feel like I'm at an auction.
And our first is to reply to Tom.
I'm in favor.
Miracle.
Favorite?
That we reply
Anybody
to Tom Miracle
opposed?
First.
I
Well,
don't think it should be just one person as a well.
but
Because they both put their names.
he's been asking for 5 years. How?
maybe these people have too, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't even know, I didn't know there were so many people.
Yeah, we'll just go to the list and
Yeah, there must be a list and when they.
whoever put their name first on the list will be the first called.
I asked in 2017, so maybe they'll call me too.
You want one?
No, not anymore.
I'll buy it from.
Is anybody opposed to the motion? Sell it, the new price for the industrial lot will be, go from 10,000 to 25,000 an acre.
Yep.
Any opposition? Seeing none, the motion's carried.
I'll buy two. I'll buy
Because we'll
one.
probably have to look at the next phase, because you want to probably include, your, how much it's gonna cost to put infrastructure in there as
Yeah.
part of your selling prices.
For the new.
You know, I have a lot of, some items here, but I don't have any material.
I'd almost reserve the new one for then, like if we do warehousing or manufacturing or anything.
But that's a discussion we would certainly have to have on what we see, which is what was in the note, and Aaron already mentioned, what do we want to see in the future, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe a section is only for MBQ businesses, maybe you still want to sell some, who knows?
What's the next one?
So anyway, there's a new one.
I think we go in private now.
No,
Okay,
we're on the regular part of the agenda.
yeah,
Oh, is there?
So you need to discuss the MQ rental property.
Oh, we had to pull that out, right?
I see that, okay.
It's
The youth council, let's go there.
Where are you going first, Steve?
Youth council, to have a discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to see a youth council implemented in Tyendinaga and have them, they can either work along with us or their chair could come sit with us after their meeting. I just want to get the input from the youth of what they want in this community instead of what we think they want.
But they don't have like authority, like voting powers over community matters, like an advisory committee per
No,
se?
it's just like,
They're not elected officials,
yeah,
but
they're not
Yeah,
elected
just like a
officials, they
shadow?
just have it, yeah, have
Yeah.
kind of like a shadow thing, but so they go with their peers and see what they want and they can work with us to implement stuff for the youth instead of us deciding what the youth want.
yeah, some feedback from the youth council. Because right now, one of the things with the youth council that they brought to my attention is they don't get very much information from the executive leadership council. And so I shared a lot of information with them that we're working on. And I was
Second.
thankful that AI, but again, they also, if they're gonna have conversations about our needs, they need information, what's going on. I think right now there's a disconnect.
Do we have an
And
active youth council?
with the youth council in Ontario, so.
We only have 2 reps from this community that are on the AIA council, but Tyendinaga doesn't have youth council.
For them to,
Yeah, that's Sarah and Evelyn.
right.
And I think it would be a great opportunity for this council to be able to see who sits on that youth council. Because right now, only people we get to see is the ones that we see at these conferences, right?
Yeah, just Sarah
Yep.
But I'm
McNeil.
pretty sure there are probably more members than just 2.
No, from my talks with Sarah McNeil, that there isn't any, Tyendinaga doesn't have a youth council per se, like they tried to initiate it, but they never really went far. But I want to try and,
Okay, Susan
Work
Barberstock was helping set that up. Do you want to get a report from her on that? Because we've appointed 2 by resolution to AI purposes, but I guess this youth council should have a terms of reference and they should have regular meetings and there should be.
in my personal opinion, it should be not with CWC, it should be with us that works with the council. I want
Okay.
it to be
Junior
like us,
babies.
like raising leaders is what I want to do.
And it's my understanding that they already had the terms of reference done, and it was also helped by Melanie Gray.
Like a little junior
Just for the
council,
Records for the youth council.
baby council. So cute.
And like open it up from kids from like 15 or 14 to 25 or whatever.
Whatever youth is, 29, 31.
So why don't we bring the, for the next meeting, invite the people that are appointees
It's 30.
to the council meeting to find out how this could work better. That sound like a
Yeah, because
plan?
like I'd rather have a group of 6 kids instead of 2 kids from the
Yeah.
community.
Then we'll know who's on it, who attends meetings, what it's structured like, and what kinds of issues do they discuss, and how can we work together?
Agreed.
Agree.
Sounds good.
So we'll just, the motion would to invite the reps of the youth council to the next council meeting.
Linda, are you able to access who had those documents for
I
the,
would believe it would have to be Susan.
okay.
Susan or Melanie, because they were the last two, and her daughter. What's her daughter's name, Sarah?
Sarah McNeil.
Yes, she would have those two.
Okay. So who'll make a motion then to invite the youth council to the next council meeting?
I will.
Ogari, and who'll second it? Chip?
No, Curtis.
Curtis? Curtis Brandt? Okay, thank you. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion's carried. No, just hold on. We did that one, the two rental increase, we did that one. We did the rental increase. 28, the rental increase. So right now, a 1-bedroom is 406, a 2-bedroom is 725, 3-bedroom 797, 4-bedroom 877, 5-bedroom 959. Approved to make rent adjustments according to the shelter allowances provided by ODSP, less $150 for utility costs. Does council approve this request? Has management and the housing portfolio had a discussion about this before it came on the agenda?
No, but I'm okay with it, chief.
You're okay with it?
I had a discussion with them,
Okay.
with Tom on it.
So this is the recommendation. Now, what does it mean to make future rent adjusted according to the shelter allowance? So I can tell you, like, a single person gets $875 for shelter allowance from ODSP. So if there's 2 people, that's for single persons, that's 406. So that would leave a little bit of money for groceries and utilities. I can tell you that an apartment in Belleville rents for $2,800 a month because I had an ODSP client come in this past week and they showed me their ODSP shelter slip. It's $875 a month. And so her and her partner who's on old age pension, it takes up nearly all of their pension
I'll
incomes.
second.
In the briefing note,
No, we need a motion.
Oh, I thought,
in
So
the
the-
briefing note, he provides some data, average rent published by CMHC for Belleville, Quinte West. For a 1-bedroom is $11.97. For a 2-bedroom is $13.13. Those are the rents in the Belleville area.
Yeah.
I'll motion then.
60.
You're motioning it to approve? It's been moved by Aaron. Is there a seconder? To increase the rent to these prices?
To what's been proposed,
To what's,
option
to
1B.
accept the recommendation of rental increases.
I thought, Chris, did you?
He didn't make a motion. He said he could, he said he
You said you.
He said it was okay, but are you making a motion, Chris?
I'll second it.
Okay, Chris Miracle.
Well, because I thought the motion was already made. That's all.
I thought you made it, so I seconded yours.
Because when I'm
Whatever.
okay with it, doesn't
Same
mean I'm
thing.
making a motion to do with it, okay?
Please note that I abstained from that one because I'm a renter.
Okay.
You voted negative.
Oh, of course, I'm a renter.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Now we're private?
When does this become effective? When does this become effective? Sorry.
Okay.
They have to get
April resort report, where's the
No, we gotta go with private.
April report? Is that in here?
I'll move or motion to go into private.
I'll second.
and it's private.
The council has moved to go in private, so I'd like to thank all the people that have joined us online and wish you all a very good